Greetings to you, our dear viewers, and welcome to this special program on International Day of Prayer and Awareness Against Human Trafficking, with the theme being Ambassadors of Hope. My name is Macy Mshanga. I'm not alone in the studio. I'm joined with beautiful people. I'll allow them to introduce themselves, starting with Sister on my right. Sister, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and greetings to the viewers. I'm Sister Ethel Musaga. I belong to the Sisters of the Holy Cross, and I also belong to the team called Takuza, where we do sensitization on human trafficking.
Okay, Father, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I am Father Philip Maraba. I belong to the Society of the Missionaries of Africa, called the White Fathers, though I'm black myself. I work at Faith and Encounter Center. It's abbreviated as FENS, located in Bauleni, and I'm a member of the Takuza team.
Sister?
I'm Sister Patience Shilondo with the Religious Sisters of Charity, and I work for Takuza in the Programs Department.
Okay, welcome to the program once more.
Thank you.
Okay, so Sister, you said you work for Takuza. Kindly tell us more about Takuza. What is Takuza?
So Takuza is a national network that has 45 congregations of religious women, as well as male congregations. So we are based at the Catholic Secretariat, that's where the national office is, but we also are in the 11 dioceses of the country. So in the different dioceses we have sisters, priests, and what we call youth ambassadors. So they take part in the awareness raising and spotting victims and linking them with the appropriate services. So we actually have what we call diocesan teams. So we have sisters and priests and what we call youth ambassadors. So they too then take part in all of Takuza's mission, which is to work towards the fight against human trafficking through various activities.
Okay, to start with, I'll go to Father. Father, what exactly is the International Day of Prayer Awareness Against Human Trafficking?
This is a day where the different stakeholders, organizations making advocacy against human trafficking come together to pray against this social vice that is global and is eating deep into the fibers of our society. And the commemoration yearly is done on the 8th of February, which is the feast of St. Josephine Bakita, who is the patroness saint for human trafficking, because she herself was a victim of the phenomenon.
Okay, anyone to add up anything?
I think on the International Prayer and Awareness Day for Human Trafficking, as Father had said, we also bring out the aspect of prayer. You know, the prayer brings different people from different backgrounds, religious backgrounds together to pray, and we call people to pray for the victims of human trafficking, and also to support the people that are advocating for against human trafficking, so that everybody is strengthened in the spirit of prayer. And also awareness rising, we are talking about advocacy, as Father has said, sensitizing different communities, getting everyone on board. You know, the issue of human trafficking is huge, so it cannot be done by only Takuza. It is done by different departments in the government, but also as communities we need to rise, as Sister had put it earlier on, to rise and create the awareness against human trafficking.
Okay, so still on you, Sister. Human trafficking is a term we often hear. But what exactly does it mean, and how does it affect the people in Zambia in particular?
Human trafficking means being trafficked from one place to the other. Moving people from one place to the other, where they are forced, they are either forced. There's also issues of deception. There are also issues of coercion. You can be coerced. A person can come to you and convince you to say there's a better job in Lusaka, and you follow them. So it means that you are being coerced to go, you agree to go there. And when you reach there, you find that you are being exploited. Then the issue of human trafficking comes in. So how this is affecting the people in Zambia is we have quite a number of domestic servitude, especially for supposedly rich uncles going to the village to go and bring young girls and boys under the pretext of getting them educated. But then when they come to the city, they find themselves working as maids in the homes, and sometimes, sadly, abused by uncles sexually. So those are some of the examples that affect us in Zambia. Maybe my other colleagues can add.
Okay.
Yeah, the phenomenon is global, and our Zambian society is never left out of it. But unfortunately, our people do not recognize some of the practices that take place in the Zambian society, or identify them as human trafficking because of ignorance. And I will give very few examples of that. Just go to East Park here. At the roundabout of entrance to East Park, you see old women carrying babies. And these are women that have reached the stage of menopause that cannot give birth to these children. These are not their children. They hear these babies from the real mothers to get sympathies from the cars that enter or drive out of East Park. So using these children to beg, and they pay daily returns to the real mothers of these children. This is child trafficking, because you are exploiting that child, abusing the dignity of that child for your own personal financial gain. So it is a common practice, but people drive in and out, and they are not concerned about that. So I like the slogan of Takuza, says, open your eyes. Open your eyes and see what is happening right in our Zambian society. Labor trafficking is also very common. We went the other time in the prison of Chipata alone. We met over 200 Malawians. These are guys that are brought in during the farming season to work for the Zambian farmers, and they are told that we pay you only at the end of the planting season. And at the end of the planting season, we take about 3 to 4 months. When they demand for their salaries, that is when the very farmers who brought them go and report them to the immigration. We've got foreigners here without papers, and then they are arrested. It's labor trafficking. They have exploited the labor of those guys, and they don't want to pay them. So our Zambian society is never left out.
Probably just to add on, I think recently I had heard of a couple of cases of young boys from out of town. So this could be somewhere coming from the northern province, abducted, thrown into a vehicle. The next time the distance from, let's say, Kasama or Mansa to Lusaka, in a car boot, and they are brought here, and then they are forced to do some work and sexually exploited. It's very unfair, And one of the things, part of the spirituality of Takuza is that we draw our strength from the Catholic social teachings, and one of the first principles there talks of the dignity of human life. Like each life, each person, their life is sacred, and oftentimes we forget that this is another human being created by God, the same God who created me, who created this out of love, created me too. And we use other people for exploitation. So cases are very common in Zambia, but we have deemed some of these cases to be real, and that it's not my business. You see something and yes, it's not my business, and we look the other way.
Exactly. So I'll go back to Father Philip.
Yeah.
Father, you had mentioned about the ladies that we see maybe on by East Park or other places with small babies, and then you say that the actual mothers are somewhere else,
yeah.
And then those are not the actual mothers, then they're abusing the child. So who is unfair there? Is it the actual mother or the person who is using the child?
Both are perpetrators. The real parents, biological parents, who compromise the dignity of that child and lends that child out to another person to exploit for financial benefit, is also a perpetrator. And then the real person that takes this child on the street and uses the child to get money is also a perpetrator. So the two people involved, they are wrong. It's a wrong practice. So whoever is benefiting from such an exploitation is a perpetrator. Does it benefit me? Does it benefit you? Does it benefit her? If it benefits us, we are perpetrators.
Is there anything we can do to help them?
Yes, awareness campaign and standing up to fight against such a practice. Not sitting on the fence, it doesn't concern me. Until my family member is involved, until my child is involved, that is when I will do something. You know, Jesus, he fought against the vices, the social vices of the time he lived in, the oppression, the exploitation. So we need to speak out. We need to voice out, not to see those things happening and we don't say anything. Silence is compromising. Yeah. So when we keep quiet, we don't speak out, we are partaking in this social phenomenon that is disturbing our society. We need to talk. If you see something, say something. I've stopped there on several occasions to challenge these mothers, but I don't have, the legal actions to take against them. But when I challenge them, they run away. I know when I go, they come back again. But how many of us pass and we don't say anything?
Well, probably to add to what Father is saying, I think we're probably in the same meeting where someone actually told us that a certain official, a big person within Lusaka, was passing by one of the traffic lights and then sees, like Father is saying, a baby, I says, this child looks very familiar, And then, and Father kept saying, I think I know this child.
Yeah.
So this person was prompted to drive home. They went to their house to go and say, that child. Ask the maid, where's the child? No, mwana gona. Like, I want to see where's the child. Discover the child is not at the house. So what the maid was doing, when the owner of the household goes for work, she would get a friend to come and get this child and go on the road. So you see how complicated it can be.
Yeah.
So this is where, like we were saying, you see something, say something. There are toll-free numbers that we will definitely share, and you can easily report to the police. And actually challenging these people and say, but you shouldn't be, whose child is this? So it's about us doing something. Oftentimes we just roll up our window and say, not my business.
Okay, probably because the babies never look familiar.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So from what you've said, in other cases, the actual parents do not know that they're using their child.
Yes. And oftentimes then, we work very closely with the anti-trafficking department. So when they begin to investigate cases of trafficking of whatever form, let's say domestic servitude, which Sister Ethel had talked of, where I go to Kasama, get a niece to come and work. So when I'm being investigated for trafficking, if my sister or cousin in the village knew what I'm going to use this child for, that person will also be charged. So whether I'm going to be charged with 20 years, they'll be slapped with a good 5 years, depending on their level of knowledge and involvement in me getting this child to exploit.
Okay. Is there anything you want to say, sister?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up to the point that Sister Patience had brought up on the human dignity. That in all these channels, if we are aware of the dignity of every person, I don't think we would go that way. Because when you look at moral values, or even just ordinary values that we have, respect for other human beings, I don't think you would go and solicit money through presenting somebody's baby like that. Because there are also other cases where we have these street children whom you find by the traffic lights. Some of them are also exploited for labor. You find there is somebody there waiting for them to cash. So you find these little boys, instead of going to school, they find they are asking for a 10 kwacha, a 5 kwacha. Interesting enough, those children don't ask for food. They always ask for money. Yes. So usually there would be an adult whom they have to go and cash at the end of the day. So I find these are the realities that are happening, and we need to really open our eyes.
Okay.
Even at the Hungry Lions, when you are at the Hungry Lion enjoying your meal, you see children coming around to beg you for money. Some of them are kept by guardians, and the guardians ask them to go and get the money, and they are given a target, how much they should bring home. You have to bring him a 300 kwacha, not less, per day. And the money is collected by the guardians, and then the kids that has gone begging, is given a token out of it. So this is trafficking as well. You are exploiting that child for your own personal benefit, and forced begging It's one of the forms of human trafficking.
Interesting. I guess you're already doing the awareness here. Okay. So this year's theme is being ambassadors of hope. How can one become an ambassador of hope?
That's a good one. Hope, I think giving hope comes in different ways. And that's why for us, like this year's edition, yes, the aspect of together, then we move in the fight against trafficking. So it's how can I bring hope to the other? I might not see a victim directly, but how can I do this? Through prayer. And that's why this day is very important. Prayer brings people together. And oftentimes we always tell each other, pray for me, right? Mercy, pray for me. Sister, pray for me. So in the same way, I could also, in my own time, pray for a victim out there that God grants them strength, or is it confuses the perpetrator that they can escape something, but we are actually offering a prayer. That also is a good bit of hope, throwing it out there.
Oh,
I will add action as well. We pray, but then we act.
Yeah.
We say something. We fight against the phenomenon, and this takes all our collaboration. You have to be involved, I have to be involved, she has to get involved, so that together we join our voices and we fight against the social phenomenon.
Okay, so Father, why is prayer such an important part of this fight against human trafficking?
Because some of us who are involved into this, we are religious men and women, especially for Takuza, Talitakum. This is a faith organization. And as a faith organization, what would differentiate us, we are not the only stakeholders on board fighting against this. There are other private sectors, government organizations that are all into it. It is a collaborative effort. But for us, we are religious men and women, and prayer is what distinguishes us, that makes us unique. So whatever we do, we have to bring it in the hands of God as well, and say, God, look, there is this great social vice that is affecting our own society. Can you come to our rescue? So we pray against this social phenomenon, but as we take actions as well. So we combine faith and action because we are religious men and women. Otherwise, we'll just be like any other NGO. And the initiative, actually, this yearly commemoration was taken in 2015 by the Pope himself. Pope Francis, when he inaugurated this day for us, that as religions we should come together and commemorate this. And Bakita was a religious also, of a Canossian sister, and this is the patroness saint of human trafficking. So it is in connection with that, in link with the faith and spirituality, that we take prayer, we involve God into it.
Okay, sister, you'd want to add?
I'll also lean on what Father has mentioned on the importance of prayer for this particular one, that we God sustains the project, the network, and there are other people out there that we might not reach, but prayer goes and touches the perpetrators and those ones who are victims, and also gives courage for those ones who are raising awareness, because when you are speaking against a social issue like this of human trafficking, there are other people that want to benefit in the background, and it's like you're taking their business away, in inverted commas, and you need to be protected because they can come after you.
Exactly.
So even those ones, we need to pray for them so that they have the courage to voice up, to speak up, and to open their eyes.
Okay.
So I don't know, maybe if I might be taking you back a little bit, Mercy, but and why Saint Bakita? Because she was kidnapped at the age of 7. Yes, she was. She's actually an African saint. Was kidnapped at the age of 7, somewhere in Darfur region in Sudan, and by the time she was 12, she had been sold over 12 times. One of her previous owners actually had taken her to take care of one of their daughters. And then in the process, I think, broke a flower vase and was bitten so much that she was in bed for literally 1 month.
Yeah.
Then again, she was sold over a couple of times until eventually she came into the hands of her new master, who was moving to Italy. And that's how she found herself in Italy, and then how God then works his ways. he was coming back to Sudan for something, so he left her in the care of the Canossian sisters. And then there she began to learn about God, and eventually, when he came together, he says, no, I'm not going back, and that's how they too fought for her, and then she became a religious sister. Yeah, and so it's out of her narration, and she's very, I think more and more when I read her story, it just strikes me, because she talks of how she never knew God, but knew that there was a creator of all these wonderful things. But then she in looking back after being a religious, in her moments of slavery, there are certain moments she felt that God had protected her. Certain times she actually felt her guardian angel had led her. And she actually even says she would endure some of those things again, only because it led her to finding God. So even when bringing it back to the theme, so aspects of being ambassadors of hope, looking at her, you can then have hope that it is possible. God then will intervene and things will be well for our brothers and sisters, only if we pray and do something with our faith. Right, Father?
Yeah. Interesting. I personally didn't know about Saint Bakita.
Yeah.
I knew that there's Saint Bakita, but I didn't know anything about Saint Bakita. Anyone else would like to add?
I think what I could add is that on the 8th of February, as Father had earlier on, we are celebrating her feast day. In the Catholic Church, we have saints and their special day when we pray for their intercession. Of course, they intercede for us all the time. So on this, the 8th of February, as a way of commemorating this day of our patron saint, Saint Bakita, we are going to have different activities at St. Lawrence Parish there in Kamala South, and we'll encourage people to come in numbers, because there we'll explain more about who Bakita is. We'll explain more about human trafficking, how they can protect themselves, and how they should protect other people.
Okay, so you're just going to have a celebration in honor of Saint Bakita, or what exactly is going to happen at St. Lawrence?
So the 8th of February being the feast of St. Bakita. Yeah. So she actually died on the 8th of February, should be 1947. 47. Yes. So the day that she died so that was when she was canonized, was put as her feast day. So that's the day then we remember St. Bakita and ask for her intercession for victims. And it being an international day of prayer and awareness raising. So we will be praying, we'll have mass and prayers. But then we'll also be raising awareness, like Sister had said. So we'll definitely then have activities outside of Mass, youth-led activities in creative ways. And you see, human trafficking doesn't necessarily have like a specific group that it affects. It's from the youth to whatever people can actually get out of you. If it's organ trafficking, as long as you're looking healthy like Father, like this,
anyone can get trafficked.
Him and traffic him for his organs. Who knows? So we are trying to reach out to everybody as much as possible. Hence the open invitation. Come and pray with us. Come and take part and watch the youths do poetry about human trafficking or drama performance, whatever form we will take. But as it's a way of raising awareness, especially to the young people. It's hard to get a job these days in Zambia. So someone comes and says, I'm going to give you a job, you're getting $10,000. You would definitely get up, huh? And so then people becoming vulnerable to trafficking without actually knowing what's what.
No, okay. What time is Mass?
Mass is
at 8:30.
8:30.
So we are all invited.
Everybody's invited.
So we'll have Mass. We'll start the whole Lumen team and our dear viewers are also invited. Yes. So we'll have Mass at 8:30.
Yes.
Then thereafter we'll have different activities.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. We will definitely be there.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. So as we close, Sister, any last words you'd like to say to our dear viewers?
Okay. For me, I would pretty much go back to the aspect of prayer. I think let's all remember to pray for victims of trafficking. You might not know somebody right now, but somebody somewhere needs your prayer. So please remember to say a prayer for a victim of trafficking out there in the world.
Okay, Father, the last words?
Yeah, the last words is that all of us, let's rise up, let's speak against human trafficking, let's take concrete actions, let's not remain dormant and say, it doesn't concern me, because at the end, we shall all be affected. Our relatives will be affected, a family member will be affected. So it is not a phenomenon that we should watch at a distance. It is right in our own midst and in our family in our country, and it touches the entire humanity. We need collaborative efforts to rise up to fight against human trafficking.
Sister, your last words.
Yes, I'll lean on the exploitation and encourage ourselves